She's alive! Alive!
So we had a full episode completely recorded for you and ready to go. And then the computer shit itself and that episode went to podcast heaven and we can't get it back. So we have a bit of a busy weekend and don't have time to get a second episode recorded. We're going to do better next week with a longer episode, hopefully. But what I'm going to give you this week is I went into the old files, went rooting through, trying to find something Irish to talk about since we're all about the Irish this week. And what I came up with is an episode of Real Monsters we did last year that you cannot get anymore. And it's all about the Irish Vanishing Triangle. So a bit of true crime fun for you this week. Check it out. This is classic Real Monsters, the Irish Vanishing Triangle, and a lot about Larry Murphy, the scumbag. So listen up, have some fun, and we will be back this week with more tales from the Horrorverse. See y'all next time. Love ya. Bye-bye. All right, so this was originally supposed to be episode... Hang on, I'll tell you. Episode 26, and it was going to be called The Beast of Baltinglass Larry Murphy. And then I looked a bit deeper into things. As much as I want, I don't think I can blame Larry Murphy for all the Vanishing Triangle. So before we get into episode 26, Ireland's Vanishing Triangle, welcome to Real Monsters. I'm Dr. Smokenstein, and over across the table from me is the sexy and gorgeous Amy Rose.
Thank you.
So, yeah, like I said, I was even going to try and write a script for this, and the more it was just like a rabbit hole of just, I don't know, it's crazy. It seems like there could be two people, specifically.
Still two, or now that he's out of the country, just one?
Well, no, it stopped since the both of them have been imprisoned. So that's the thing that you're looking at. Now, we'll get into all that, but I think first, I suppose, the best thing to do is, because I don't think a whole lot of people have heard about this. When did you first hear the Vanishing Triangle?
I've been very much aware of Larry Murphy for a long, long time. Everybody has. I mean, Jojo Dollard was one that was told to us when we were younger, but I haven't been actually aware of the Vanishing Triangle since we watched the Sky documentary. I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know there was an actual term for it. I remember, but obviously the journalist there has been writing about it for years. But yeah,
you know, I've known about it for
the term.
No, I've known about it for a good enough long while. I mean, I didn't know about it straight off the bat. I knew I remember when he was caught. And I remember reading the newspaper because I was working in a petrol station at the time. And I was reading the newspaper at lunch one day. And I remember thinking to myself, there's no way that was a one and done. This isn't that guy who wasn't not his first rodeo.
Yeah.
So the Vanishing Triangle is a term commonly used in the Irish media when referring to a number of high-profile disappearances of Irish women from the late 1980s to the late 1990s. Several other women were also murdered within the triangle, and their cases remained unsolved as well. All of the cases appear to share some common characteristics. The women's age range from their late teens to their late 30s. They disappeared inexplicably and suddenly, and no substantial clues or evidence of their fate has been found, despite large-scale searches and campaigns from Gardaí to find them. Gardaí believe their remains are likely to be buried in remote fields, bogs and forests. The triangle is in the eastern part of the island, roughly the boundaries of Leinster, in the 80-mile area outside of Dublin. So it's all around Dublin. Which is why everybody fucking panicked yesterday when some guy in a yellow van pulled a woman off the street in Dublin and drove off.
But that shit was everywhere within a few...
but that's it. This is one of the first times, apparently, that the guards have openly just came out in the media and said, this is the car, this is the van, this is the colour, this is the reg. If you see it, let us fucking know.
Well, should they not learn from yesterday now? And fucking this is the
because within a few hours, they had their man, and the woman was safe, and he was caught, and he was across the country.
It was in Mayo, was it?
So
Mayo?
For people who don't know, Mayo will be literally the opposite side of the country. Now, again, I say opposite side of the country.
2 hours.
If you're from any other country, you'll know that our country is about the size of an American state. Probably smaller. We'd probably fit 2 or 3 times into Texas.
More.
So, I mean, yeah, it's not hard to get from one end of the country to the other pretty quick. I mean, even from we're at the southern end of it. We could go to the north in about maybe 7 hours by car.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Easily, yeah.
We can get to Dublin, the capital, in
4 hours.
Four, yeah.
Do you know? So it's not, we're not a big country. We can get around pretty easy, which obviously makes this very difficult as well for police who are trying to solve these cases, and guys can be the other end of the country within minutes. Like, I mean, that was the big issue with the IRA and the Troubles and all that back in the day. Because there was a border, because of the rules, there was a hard border. Well, not a hard border, there was a border there.
An armed border.
This is the UK, this is Ireland.
Yeah.
And because of that, the Gardaí wouldn't really cooperate with the PSNI much, or whatever they were called at the time, the Ulster, whatever fucking thing. But basically it was like fucking the Mexican border. Every time someone did something wrong in fucking Northern Ireland, they just hop on over to the Republic. And no one was able to, and then, you know, all the Northern police could do is come down and request that the guards look into it, and they were like, yeah, sure. If it was an IRA guy, I was like, yeah, sure, no problem. Not gonna happen. But yeah, so that is a problem. It still kind of counts that way. You can still get across the border pretty easy and be in the UK. My own dad said that about the boys in Ballyseedy, the big meth.
Oh, they were over the border, like, and that's
but he was like apparently one of them was one of them caught their way out trying to get out of the country or something like that. And my dad was like, why the fuck didn't he just go up to the north? He'd be in England. You know, he'd be UK, and you could.
I know it'd be extraditable, but like
it just makes it more difficult.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you know, there's a lot more paperwork involved. But anyway, so that was, like I said, this shit still does go on. But primarily these disappearances happened in the 80s and the 90s, and then when 2 men, one by the name of, I can't remember his name, great, because I only found out about him like while doing this research, John Creer, and the other one being Larry Murphy, and we're going to look into the 2 of them. But before we get into the 2 of them, hold on, I forgot. See, I'm very unorganized. This is why I'm saying it just got wild, and there's papers everywhere, there's notes everywhere.
It's very unlike you.
It's just because I was expecting something different.
No, I know it.
I was expecting to go in, explain what the triangle was, explain who the victims were, and then talk shit about Larry Murphy for an hour. And then it was like, who's this John Creer fella? What? It was like, what do you mean? He's guilty of one of them at least. So it's... and we watched 2 documentaries about it that were released pretty much around the same time and have huge fucking contradictions in them. And it's the same people in both documentaries. And that's the thing where this gets really confusing. I'm going to go through it as I go through the victims. The stories keep changing. All this information you'll find in one doc, but not from the other. And it's from this obviously the same family members are coming on these documentaries and talking. Like, we'll just give for instance, one of the first ones we're going to talk about soon is going to be Annie McCarrick, right? And
the American, wasn't
it? Yeah. And we'll get into her story, but I mean, like, apparently, obviously Larry Murphy was looked at for this, for the Annie McCarrick disappearance. But at the same time, it said that she was in a bad relationship with a man who had struck her in recent times before her disappearance.
But they didn't mention that in the Sky interview.
They rather mentioned it in the Sky one, or they mentioned it in the RTE one. It's mentioned in one of them, but not the other.
It was in the RTE one, so because I missed some of that, and this is my first time hearing it. I
was pretty sure it's the other way around. I think it was the Sky one that said that she was, because I don't think they mentioned it at all in the other.
And I was like, so
why the fuck are they not looking into this guy? Why are they wasting their time with Larry fucking Murphy when she seems like she's an outside? And then there was like a few years ago, I heard that Jojo Dollard's family were telling them to stop looking at Larry Murphy because they knew who the fucking killer was and it was someone known to them. But then they're all over these documentaries saying, fuck yeah, it's Larry Murphy. You know, so it's like, fucking what? And then,
what's true? Like,
and where she was picked up from is close to Larry Murphy's home, so it would make fucking sense that it probably was Larry Murphy. Like, now he is of the, oh God, I don't know, there's definitely 9... 10, 11, 12, 13. There's definitely at least 13 cases here, right? There's more, but 13 that are kind of clued into all this one. Of the 13, 4 of them have solid suspects that have nothing to do with Creer or Murphy, right?
Okay.
There is 3 that they are almost certain Larry was involved with. The 3 being 2, I would agree with, 1 not so much. They believe Jojo Dollard was him. They believe Annie McCarrick was him, and they believe that oh shit, this girl's name's after popping out of my head. And
Fiona? No, Deirdre Jacob. 2 sec, Deirdre Jacob.
They believe that, and Deirdre Jacob is almost a definite in my eyes, and I will tell you why when we get to it later, because he's been questioned about this, and his reaction towards it, according to one documentary, but not the other, was suspect enough.
Okay.
And he has, this is the one that he was, that the guy that was in prison with him claims he admitted to him to, and the way he describes it sounds very much like Larry's kind of motive, more open, MO. So, all right, like I said, we will get into it. So, like I said, we're where are we? I have tabs open everywhere and everything. It's crazy. This on Wikipedia, it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 missing, 1, 2, 3, and 3 confirmed murdered and found. Right?
Okay.
So that's what, 13? What did I say? About 13. Okay. So according to this, and now this is again where it goes crazy, because they don't even have all the names I have written down here. So we'll have to get to that too. So that's it. You go to different websites, there's different information. Like there's an Ireland Vanishing Triangle website, and I'll see how many names they have actually while we're here. Where did I have that? It's here. So there they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. They only have 12 names on this.
Who's missing?
And this is the go-to. So, right, we'll just start with the Wikipedia page and see what they say here, and I will let you know what I remember from all my notes.
Okay.
Of them all, I'll go through the ones that are definitely not him first, okay? And when we get to them then on the list here on Wikipedia, we can scratch them off.
Okay.
Apparently, there's Fiona Pender, right?
Yeah.
She was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The 6th to go missing, if you believe Wikipedia. She went missing in 1996. She was last seen leaving her ground floor apartment by her boyfriend, John Thompson, in Tullamore. Pender was 7 months pregnant at the time of her disappearance. Fiona left her passport, clothing, and credit cards behind. However, there was no sign of a struggle found in the apartment, and it is believed that she left of her own accord and got into a vehicle. In 2008, a small wooden cross bearing the name Fiona Pender was found in Slieve Bloom Way at a border between Laois and Offaly, which led to belief that Fiona was buried in Slieve Bloom Mountains. Now, apparently, her boyfriend, John Thompson, is highly suspected of this.
Okay.
The reason he's highly suspected of this, and I only know this from one podcast that I listened to earlier today. If I can find the name of that podcast, I will let you know 1 second. But they said that he moved to Canada after all this went down and got married. And in a court case for him beating he got away with this too. He was brought to court. He wasn't named specifically, but he was brought to court. Basically, they know he was brought to court for beating the shit out of his wife. He got away with it.
Okay.
But his wife claimed that he had told her that he had murdered his his girlfriend back in Ireland before he moved. So he is currently still in Canada, and the cops are kind of just waiting for him to come on back home here so we can have another chat. And he is not coming home at the moment. That was last I heard, and these girls released their podcast exactly a year ago. So the episode of this podcast, if I can find it 1 second, because it was very it was a quick one. It was 40 minutes. Criminal Discourse podcast.
Okay.
So it was a good one. I'll have to listen to a bit more of them. But so they were saying that he lives in fucking Canada right now. So he is a suspect for that.
Would you come back though, knowing that they probably wanted to question you?
Not if I heard it on a podcast that they were looking for me. They were saying on the podcast, it's like, he's expected to come home to Ireland for a family funeral soon, and the guards will be waiting for him. And then the other one turned to her, was like, I hope he doesn't listen to this. And then like, if he does, he ain't coming home. Fiona Sinnott it was another one. She was... in 1998, she went missing. So Fiona Sinnott was last seen leaving Butler's Pub in Broadway. She left the establishment with her ex-boyfriend and father of her 11-month-old daughter, Sean Carroll. Sean told investigators that he had walked Sinnott back to the house in Ballyhit, Wexford, and that he had spent the night sleeping on her couch. Sinead had gone directly to bed after complaining of pains in her arm and upper body. And the next morning, on the 9th of February, Carl claimed that he entered Sinead's bedroom to discover she was awake, and she told him she was planning to get a ride to the doctor later that day. Sinead vanished without a trace and discovered that she did not visit the doctor that day, and there's no records of her going to any local surgeries, so she's missing too. They reckon, again, that the boyfriend might have had something, the ex might have had something to do here. Now, again, this is coming from that podcast I just spoke about, because I didn't know anything about this either. The boyfriend was 10 years her senior.
Okay.
She hooked up with him when she was 15. He was abusive, violent, this was known.
Yeah.
And she had left him. So while she, obviously, maybe just after the birth of the child, because the child was 11 months when she left him. And no, they were saying on this night they were seen at the bar to be kind of rekindling things and getting a bit close, but he was the last to see her, and apparently his alibi is a bit sketchy.
I saw on the Garda website that there was a man arrested in 2005 and 5 other people were arrested with him in connection with the murder, that there was 3 women and 2 men.
So I don't know about that one. So that's another one that is questionable. So she went missing in the triangle, but we don't know. But it seems like the guards are looking at it specifically as not Larry Murphy or John Kerr. This is a separate thing where they know who did it, they just can't get their hands on them.
It's sad when you hear that they're like a mother of such a young child, like.
Oh yeah,
it's awful.
I know. Then there's Ciara Breen, who
I've never heard of Ciara Breen.
Yeah, isn't on this list. Hang on, no, there she is. Ciara Breen, 17, of Dundalk, County Louth, went missing on the 13th of February 1987 on Bachelor's Walk in Dundalk. She was last seen by her mother, Bernadette, who said at the time that she had gone to bed just after midnight. That day, they had gone to the local cafe for dinner, then returned home. According to Bernadette, she was due to get results of a biopsy the following morning, and Ciara was worried about this. The two had a short conversation on Bernadette's bed before going to sleep at around midnight. After 2 a.m, Bernadette got up to go to the bathroom and discovered Ciara was missing. She had left a window on the latch. So Ciara was actually young. She was 17. In this case, the guards believe she snuck out to meet somebody after the mother went to sleep.
Okay.
They know this because they found this guy Liam Mullen's name on a card with his number and address or something like a number or contact, some way of contacting anyway.
Yeah.
And this guy was a known drug user and a pedophile. So even though in this country 17 wouldn't make you a pedophile, 17 is legal here. So I don't know how that. But anyway, they pulled this guy in to question him, and he died of an overdose in jail, or in the prison, or in the guard station before they could get to question him. So
that was in 2015, was that?
So yeah, so that one's going to go unsolved by the looks of things. But yeah, he is pretty much expected of that one. Then there's Imelda Keenan. She was 22 from County Laois, was living in Waterford when she disappeared on the 3rd of January 1994. She had initially gone to stay with one of her brothers in Cove, but left after a short while when she went to stay with 2 other brothers in Waterford City. She was living with her boyfriend Mark Wall, who, guess what, is suspected of doing this.
Oh my God.
And they both lived in an apartment in the town on William Street. Keenan attended the Central Technical Institute of Waterford, where she undertook a computer course for a short period. Keenan told Wall that she was going to the post office. Keenan left the apartment at 1:30 p.m. and walked down William Street onto Lombard Street. The last confirmed sighting of Keenan is at this time when she was seen crossing the road at a local doctor's secretary who knew her very well. The secretary and her friend observed Keenan crossing the road, blah, blah, blah. She was never seen again. Now, the thing they find funny about this is the boyfriend said that she was going to the post office, but it was a bank holiday, is what the girl said on that podcast. I don't know. She'll look up. Was the 3rd of January a bank holiday in 1994? But that's what he was saying. It was a holiday.
3rd of January, yeah. If it fell on a Monday, it probably was.
If
3rd January.
Check what New Year's was on in 1994. So that's why he is suspected of it.
Monday.
Yeah, and I think
it was 100% bank holiday.
So it was a bank holiday. So they found that suspicious that he said she was going. And I think there was some items, something like glasses or something like that she had left behind that she wouldn't leave without. So that was.
But she was still seen after after she went to go to the post office, and she seemed okay when she was talking to the secretary, did she?
I don't know.
So weird.
This is what I'm saying. Everything is so fucking mud. Like, this is a 30-year-old. All these are 30-year-old or more cases now. 30 plus years for all these cases. This all stopped. Once Larry Murphy was caught, that was the end of the Vanishing Triangle. Yes, other people died within the Vanishing Triangle. But see, that's the thing about this country. Is I don't think we're set up for serial killers. We don't know how to deal with serial killers. We've never really had them. We have plenty of killers. But it being a small country again, our killers generally get 1 or 2 in and then they get caught.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah.
It usually piles up on them and they are caught like almost instantly. And if they're not, and if they do get away with it, it's on a technicality or it's on the fact that they ran and they got out of the country before they were fucking caught. Do you know? Or they killed themselves or something along those lines. But we very rarely, but the reason we don't have serial killers is because to be a serial killer, you got to kill more than 3 people over a period of time. Our killers generally kill 2 or 3 people all at fucking once and then completely lose their shit and fall apart and get caught. Thankfully.
Yeah.
So this is kind of why this is such a fucked up situation, because we have all these bodies. The cops, the guards did not want to link them all together. They didn't want a serial killer, like, do you know? So they refused to link all these together. It was just a coincidence that all these women were going missing and in this area. And, you know. So who else do we have? So that's the 4 that are basically in the Vanishing Triangle, but not believed to be the serial killer's work.
Do they not think that, as in, like, is there not a marker on the side of the road for Fiona Pender that the guards came across, and they're pretty sure that she's in this?
I said area. That, didn't I? Where was it? Fiona Pender, where are you? That's what everyone's asking. Sleep Blue Mountains.
Oh God, the Sleep Blue Mountains. Yeah.
So where is that? That's in Laois.
Oh, is
Laois
that? I thought it was
between the border between Laois and Offaly. No, that was another thing they said. There was 2, I think, their bodies that were found, and they were found in bogs. If you listen to Amy's show this week, the Playing with Bones, we do bog bodies, and at the end of the show, I brought that up to you. I turned on and I was like, well, the case I'm covering over here on Real Monsters, I wonder, did he hide stuff in bogs? And one of the cases, I can't remember which one it is, I'm sure we'll get to it soon because I'm all written down here, but it was a case of he didn't bury her deep enough in the bog this one time, so then they found it.
How soon after did they find her?
I will find out and let you know when we get to it. That was rather... yeah, see, this just gets all over the fucking place. It might have been Antoinette Smith. I'm not too sure. I meant to look that up about Antoinette Smith. Is she in this list? Yeah, here she is. The girl from the David Bowie bar. This was in 1987. See, I'm confused. I thought there was an earlier one. Which then leads me to believe the conspiracy theory from 2003 that Creer and Murphy were working together, which is even crazier. Anyway, look, we'll go have a look at some of these other ones. Of the murdered ones, there was Annette Angie Green Smith. She was a 27-year-old mother of 2, disappeared at 3 a.m. on the 12th of July 1987 after attending a David Bowie concert in Slane. She had returned to Dublin by bus after the concert at around 11:30 p.m. and went to the Harp Bar on O'Connell Bridge before going to a nightclub at La Mirage Discotheque on Parnell Street with a female friend. While in the club, this is the one. While in the club, they met 2 men that they knew. They all left shortly at 2 a.m. Antoinette's friend parted company with them after they left the club. Antoinette remained with the 2 men until all 3 walked to the taxi rank at O'Connell Street. The men got a taxi to Ballymun area, with Antoinette continued to walk by Gresham Hotel on O'Connell Street towards O'Connell Street Bridge. Her disappearance was reported by her estranged husband. Her remains were discovered in Glendew Mountains near the Lemass Monument close to Glencree and Enniskerry in 1988. So April 1988, so she was missing for a fucking nearly a year. Forensic examination of the body showed that she was raped, strangled, and her head had been covered by a plastic bag. Now, this is where this gets crazy. This is the one on the Sky documentary where they said this could have been one of Larry's first ones if it was Larry. But it was 2 of them. which brings in this thing about John Creer. So I'll get to that afterwards. But basically, this woman was seen with these two guys, and a witness claims who was walking their dog around the area where the body was found on the night she went missing, the next morning, that they were walking their dog and two men came against this person in the woods, and that they were a bit shifty and kept their heads down when they were passing by. And this was early in the morning, that they looked like they were in clothes, going out kind of clothes, but they weren't. You know, they looked a bit worse for wear, and they were walking out of the place. And the plastic bag over the head is something Larry Murphy did when he was caught doing.
Yeah.
You know, that was how he was trying to kill because the woman he was caught for is nameless. They've never released her name. No. So, which is fine. I wouldn't want my name fucking attached to that prick either for the rest of my life. But the plastic bag was something he did. So people kind of reckon, is this his first one? No, I don't know how people started to match him up with John Creer, because I'd never even heard of John Creer, and he's only done for one. But he's done for one, and again, it's similar to Larry, where he's done for one, but the one he did was done in such a manner that it couldn't have been his first go.
It was kind of professional, like front of it.
Exactly. Same way when Larry was like, we know by the way this has all been all played out, this isn't Larry's first fucking go. Do you know? This is Larry's done this before. Okay. And I think they said the same about John Creer, and so I don't know. We'll look into that a bit in a minute. The other women found dead was Patricia Moriarty Doherty. She was 29, a prison officer at Mountjoy Prison. She had returned home in Tala, Dublin, just before 9 p.m. on the evening of the 23rd of December 1991. However, she soon went to the Old Bond Centre to buy Santa hats for her children. On Christmas Day, Patricia's husband reported his wife missing. The Gardaí were able to find a witness that reported seeing Patricia at 9:20 p.m. on the 23rd of December walking past Bridget Burke's pub towards Old Bond Shopping Centre. A second witness came forward stating that he saw a woman matching Patricia's description entering a red car at the entrance of Old Bond Shopping Centre. On the 21st of June 1992, a man was cutting turf in the Wicklow Mountains in the area known as Glassmucky Breaks, less than a mile from where Smith's body was found. He also found human remains. So this is close to where Antoinette Smith was found, right?
Yeah.
In a bog. But it was concluded that Patricia was most likely strangled, and there was no signs of trauma. So it's two strangled victims in the same area. We've been a couple of fucking, what did they say? How close did they say it was? In the area known as less than a mile away from the first body.
Yeah.
And in the bog game, because I think Annette Smith, she might have been in some sort of bog, but yeah,
I would think that if they were able to tell that she was raped after being in the ground for more than a year, she probably was in a bog. Josh, to be honest, level of preservation to be able to tell that she was sexually assaulted, I would think.
So let's see what happened to this last one. Oh, this one was in a bog. Okay, Marie Kilmartin, 35, of Ballad, County Laois, attended work at a local nursing home at 11 a.m. on the 16th of December 1993. This motherfucker loves December. At 4 p.m, two of Maureen's female co-workers dropped her home and watched her walk to her front door. This is also a common thing. They're always really close to home. And they've always been out around the town doing stuff, like, you know, and it's like they're being watched. He's a predator keeping an eye on him before he makes the move.
Yeah.
When Marie's housemaid arrived home from her job at 6 p.m, she found that Marie was not home and none of the lights in their house had been switched on. The housemaid also found Marie's groceries unpacked on their kitchen table. Also something that happened in the Annie McCarrick case where her groceries were on the table. So it was like, this was a woman who was planning to come home.
Yeah.
A forensic examination of Marie's home uncovered no evidence as to what may have led to her sudden disappearance. Gardaí did, however, discover that at 4:20 p.m. on the 16th of December, a phone call was made to Marie's landline, which lasted for 2 minutes. The call was traced to a payphone in Portlaoise near St. Fintan's Hospital. A witness later came forward stating that she saw a lone male entering the phone box at the time the call was made. She described the man as 30 years of age, 5'6" to 5'9", 9 in height and having dark hair. This particular individual was never identified. On the 10th of June 1994, her body was discovered in Pims Lane near Mount Mellick, County Laois, 16 kilometres from Marie's home. She was in a bog beside a drainage ditch with a cement block placed on her body. Post-mortem revealed she had been strangled. There was no evidence of sexual assault. So again, kind of similar, but I mean, one thing we know about Larry is he's there for the sex.
Absolutely.
Do you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know about that. Again, this is a really hard one to fucking decipher. So I can kind of understand. Well, no, it's a hard one to decipher because they completely fucking mishandled it at the start by not not just accepting that this was, it's happening
but even
too
not
frequently.
just completely accepting, but just not being open to the idea. I would say, like, as
it took them a while. Eventually, they did start with Operation Trace at the start, and that's where they've kind of linked 6 of them into it.
Okay.
Let's see if I can find that actually. Operation Trace. It should be here somewhere. No. Okay. So they're the 3 that were found. 3 bodies found.
Okay.
Strangled in a bog, pretty close together.
And they're the only 3 bodies that have been found. Yeah. Okay.
There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 here that have not been found. But again, 4 of them we have already kind of written off as somebody else.
Yeah.
Again, that's the reason why those other 4 cases haven't been solved either. There is no body.
Okay.
And that's one thing we all know: no body, no death.
It's very, very, very hard. There was a guy actually that buried his wife in a bog in England, and they only found like this part. But like, it's like one of the only cases in England where they actually pinned it without a proper body. Very hard.
Yeah. Well, that's why Larry hasn't been done. Like I said, they sent a file to the DPP about Deirdre Jacob trying to prosecute him. And it was just the director of public prosecution decided not to prosecute. He was like, we don't have enough here.
But you see, he's right. Like, it's like, if you do risk it and he's not guilty, like, can you bring him? You can't, can you?
Well, like I said, we'll get to it. But when Larry was questioned about this, Larry said, do you have a body? They said, no. Then Larry said, well, fuck off then. So,
yeah.
I think like that's almost, I feel like a fucking, it's
admission.
Me, but you don't have me, you know. So the other girls that went missing were Priscilla Kelly, 25, disappeared in the 3rd of May 1988 from County Wicklow after going horseback riding with her employer, 39-year-old Linda Kavanagh, from whom she worked as a live-in nanny. Linda's body was recovered. What? Linda's body was recovered 2 days later. Horses were discovered in the visit. Priscilla's body was never discovered. 2 people were seen.
2 of them went missing. I've never heard of this.
Yeah, I've never heard of this one either. 2 people were seen riding horses into the Charleville estate on the day that Priscilla vanished. One was recognised as Kavanagh. The other person was not identified. However, Linda called her husband to let him know she and Priscilla were going riding. At the time, it was believed that the women encountered difficulties while riding through a swollen river. However, Priscilla's family believed that foul play should have been further considered. So maybe we haven't heard of this one because they haven't solidly linked it to anything.
Because it could be that they
just did a drowning. I mean, it doesn't say here what happened to Linda Kavanagh. So I don't know, because I assume they'd be able to tell.
Never heard of them, yeah.
Why is my mouse not working? Let me check, is she on the list here for... Shit, the battery just died on my mouse. That's alright, I got the handheld stuff. So what did I say her name was? I'm all over the place. Thank you. What did I say her name was?
Priscilla.
Priscilla. There is no Priscilla on this list from the Irish Vanishing Triangle website. So,
yeah.
That one seems a bit suspect. Is it just
the family saying, oh shit, this...
There's a Patricia Doherty. That's not the same person.
No, you talked about Patricia Doherty.
Anyway, right, so she is unlikely. But, see, I think that's what I'm saying. Like, anyone that died in weird circumstances in the triangle just kind of gets thrown in here as well. And that just kind of makes things a bit murky.
Hang on, so they found one body, but they didn't find the other body? Mm-hmm. Okay. Was it a fast-flowing river, like, or...?
There's no information about it here.
Huh.
So, anyway, the first big one that we know of that we have linked to this is Annie McCarrick. So she was originally from Long Island, New York. She was 26 years of age and went missing on the 26th of March 1993. So we're almost at the 31st anniversary. The last confirmed sighting of her was the morning near her home in Dublin. That's why they find it. I think Larry Murphy was working on a bar near here. When she went missing, which is why they suspect him. But then there's also the suspect, this Spanish serial killer that they suspect, according to that other podcast I listened to earlier.
That was here.
Who was in the country at the time that she went missing.
Holy shit. So why isn't he being looked at other ones?
But this is what I'm saying. At the same time, then you have this documentary saying that she had an abusive fucking, I assume, fucking ex-boyfriend or at least admirer who had hit her at least fucking once.
That brings it like, so a Spanish serial killer, an Irish possibly serial killer, and a boy that's, you know.
Then she is confirmed. The thing is, like, she left her shopping on the counter as well and went out and just went missing. But she is also, there's a sighting of her with another man in a bar, I think in Wicklow, later on that night. But no one can confirm if that was her or not, or just someone who looked like her. So again, this got really fucked up really quick. The thing about it then is her family wasn't in the country, but her dad is an ex-police officer, so he was able to put a bit of pressure on. But I'll be honest, Jen, I don't mean to sound mean. I've seen her mother talking.
It's like
the Americans deal with death very differently to us.
Yeah.
Murder for them seems to just be something that happens and you get on with it. And she's like, I don't want justice, I don't want retribution, I just want a body, which I understand.
Yeah, well, this...
But she's very much like, this just happened, this is just the way it is, do you know?
But then I suppose this is the woman that has had to live with it for so long, and maybe to get through her daughter, maybe she had to like...
Yeah, but they just seem... But no, again, they put a lot of pressure on. They got like a former FBI guy in, who was a friend of the McCarricks. Again, he's pretty fucking steadfast that Larry Murphy's work shows that it wasn't his first time. So he is highly suspected of this one. Annie went missing anyway, and she has not been seen, and they're still looking for her. Next was Eva Brennan, who went missing on July 25th, 1993. Oh, right. Is this the one that, yeah. This lot are pretty pissed off because apparently there wasn't a whole lot of work put into finding her. She was 39 in 1993 and unwed and depressed, apparently. So the police decided when there was no sign of a struggle in her apartment, no sign that she was at the apartment,
that the spinster just offed herself or something like that.
She went away and killed herself, and that's why she's missing, because she's 39 and no man wants her. She had just had an argument as well with her siblings, apparently, before she had went home, and yeah, so she was never really investigated properly, and a lot of the effort was put into Annie McCarrick at the time, since it was so close together. I mean, you were talking March, July, you know.
Yeah.
So they weren't too happy about that. Imelda Keenan I mentioned already, didn't I?
Yeah.
She was the one that we had. Jojo Dollard. This is a big one. I'm almost certain myself that it is. But again, this gets murky because I have read in the past that Jojo Dollard's family said that they knew who the killer was, and it wasn't Larry Murphy. Which is fucking odd because it was very, very close to where Larry Murphy lived. And now he is one of the chief suspects in this. Larry is chief suspect in Annie McCarrick, Jojo Dollard, and Deirdre Jacobs. And I'll get to Deirdre. Deirdre Jacobs sounds like he's a definite in my eyes. I mean, like I said, what he said about her. But anyway, Jojo Dollard went on a night out. She was a 21-year-old girl from Kilkenny. Bartender in Dublin, as far as I know, but she was out on a night out, and basically by the time it was time to go home, there was no way of getting home bar hitching. I don't know what she left down on. She was planning to stay there, and she was left down on her place to stay or whatever, but she was forced to hitch home to get home, and she was going to Moon in County Kildare, best known for Moon Boy, isn't it?
That's the one up. There's a Moon in pretty sure Mary McAleese is from it. Moon in Gibby.
Is it Roscommon?
Yeah, I think so. Whichever county
Roscommon
Mary
seems like a TV show. It was Roscommon, I think.
Yeah, let me have a look.
Anyway, so it's not that Moon. This is the bad moon. This is the moon where you go and you go missing. She basically, right, so this is really fucked up. Last contact with her was at a phone booth. She rang home to tell him what she was doing, and then she stopped and said, there's a car after pulling up for me. And that's assumed to be the last car she got into and met her killer.
Well, they had to make the car as well. It was a Toyota something or other. I remember reading that as well, that she was seen leaning into the back seat of the car as well. This is on the Garda website. Okay. And she was actually seen leaning into it. They had to make the car, but I said it to you, Jojo Dollard, for us growing up. I mean, like, it was huge. As long as I've heard the name Jojo Dollard, Larry Murphy has been connected to her.
Yeah, well, again, I did hear a brief period where her family were going against that idea, but it seems like he is chief suspect for that one. They're the three that he is directly linked to. We did Fiona Pender, Ciara Breen. Did we do Ciara Breen? I did do Ciara Breen, yes. Yeah. Fiona Sinnott. Catherine Kate Madigan, 35, a primary school teacher and mother of one who disappeared after she left St. Patrick's University Hospital in Dublin in 1998. She was admitted to hospital on the 5th of February for treatment for mental illness, which caused her to be severely depressed. At 2 p.m, she left the hospital on her own. Hospital staff informed authorities that she was going for occupational therapy. She was seen on closed-circuit television leaving the hospital and was reported missing in Kilkenny the same day. Catherine is presumed dead, but her body was never found. Her clothes were found at Braehead on the 20th of May 1998. Now, there's a whole pile of information there, so I don't really know.
Okay.
I don't know. Is she on that list as well? See, this is the thing. There's a lot of these girls. I don't know. I keep clicking on the wrong thing here. What did I say now? Catherine Madigan. Catherine Madigan. Not on the official website. But then there's some that I not on the official website. Who's Patricia Doherty? Did I mention her?
Yeah.
There's so many fucking names. Jesus Christ. Oh, yeah, she's one of the ones that was found dead. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the big one here is Deirdre Jacob, who was 18, from Newbridge, County Kildare, went missing at 3 p.m. on the 28th of July 1998. She was living in Twickenham, London, and studying in St. Mary's University, but was home for the summer. She'd gone to Newbridge Bank, the Allied Irish Bank, to get a bank draft to pay some school accommodation and university fees. She was then seen at the post office with the bank draft. She disappeared just yards from her parents' home as she walked home. Passing motorists witnessed Jacob approaching within yards of her parents' driveway, but she never made it there. No trace of her was ever found, and she was never seen again. In 2018, the case was reclassified as a murder inquiry because of new information and a review of the case.
What year was that?
2018. That was the year that a prisoner came forward and said that he had been drinking with Larry Murphy one night and taking drugs with Larry Murphy one night in their prison cell, and that he admitted to what he had done. He told this prisoner, no, they say as well this prisoner had nothing to gain. He wasn't going to get time off for this. He was in prison for life. He ain't coming out. So, and by coming forward, he was pretty much putting himself in a position where he could get fucked up in fucking prison for being a snitch, get marked with that tag of being a rat, and that's it.
Yeah.
So they said he was coming forward at great risk to himself, and he didn't need to, but he did. But again, because he was a criminal, the DPP wouldn't rely on his
you take
testimony.
The case instantly, so you can't.
Not a reliable witness.
Yeah.
Especially how did you come across this this information?
We were
drinking prison hooch and taking ecstasy. But he says, no, when we get to what Larry was confirmed or was convicted of and has pled guilty to, it sounds a lot like this. So it does seem very, it would take a lot for your man to come up with this idea. And even the guy that took the statement, the police officer that took the statement, said you could see in this guy's eyes that he was not fucking making this up. It was coming to him too quickly.
Yeah.
So Larry said he had been watching her for a while, which seems to be on par with the rest of them. This, again, are women who were around town doing bits and pieces, and within a few feet of their fucking house, gone.
Yeah.
So he said that Larry claims he had been watching her, and that he'd been watching her for a while, and that he was sitting in his own car, and he saw her walking towards his car, and he had a map out in front of him, and he called her over, holding the map, trying to get her to point something out to him. And when she came into the window to look at the map, he just hit her one and started dragging her into the car through the window. Pulled her into the window, threw her down by and this is another reason as well, is he keep her down by the ground, next to in the passenger side. So she was down there. reason that they're looking at Larry as well is because his car or a car similar to his was seen by a guy. I don't know, was he in a very big Jeep or was he in a truck? But he was passing, and he said after this came out, he came forward and said, I passed that car and I remember seeing a woman in the fucking foot area there. There's this the leg area of the passenger side, and he said he remember thinking it was strange that she was down there when he passed her.
Oh my God.
But I think they've confirmed that was a car similar to what Larry was driving at the time, or in and around it, but he changed car as well, as far as I know, around this time.
Didn't he? Yeah.
So, right, we've been mentioning him a bit, so we might as well get to him. So Larry Murphy, if I can find anything about him. That's the thing, it's very hard to find a Wikipedia page on this guy as well. Here we go.
A Wikipedia page.
He does, it's a very short one.
Yeah.
Convicted felon. After his conviction for kidnapping, repeatedly raping and attempted murder of a young Carlow woman on the 11th of February 2000 in Wicklow Mountains, he was jailed in 2001. His release from prison less than 10 years later drew widespread criticism. Now, again, I was in that podcast early on, those girls started freaking out because apparently they were like, the judge said that he was, his date of imprisonment starts from when he was originally caught. And they were like, so he wasn't in custody. Just to put your minds at ease, if you do hear this, he was in fucking prison at the time. He just hadn't been convicted. They were holding him, and then what they do is they take that time off of your prison sentence afterwards because you technically were, you time served. It's not that he was out roaming the streets. Larry would have been lynched and killed instantly. He was on the front of every paper. Everybody hated him. Everyone was looking for him to be fucking fried. We don't do that here, unfortunately. But Larry was in protective custody for a long time in fucking prison before he requested to be moved out into fucking the general population. So Larry wasn't roaming the fucking streets. So Larry basically was watching, again, this woman who was leaving work, and as she approached her car in the car park, she noticed Larry, and he was stalking around the car park. And when she got to the car, he came up behind her, hit her a few punches, threw her into the fucking car. I think he kind of drove off in her car first towards his own car, and then got her out of the car and bundled her into his boot. He then took off driving with the music up full blast, so no one could hear her pounding on the back, like. She said she remembers hearing him stopping somewhere and talking to someone. Now, Larry has said that he stopped to pay somebody who was working, who had been doing some work for him, because Larry was a carpenter. He was kind of a freelance carpenter, which gave him, people say this is what gave Larry the freedom to move around and cause the trouble he caused. He didn't work for anybody in particular. He was his own boss. He didn't work in one place in particular. He was constantly traveling. I mean, you're a carpenter. You're going to different people's houses, different businesses, different places to do your work. And Larry generally worked around the Triangle area. So around the Vanishing Triangle. In this particular case, we know what he did because he was caught, so we can go through it. It's pretty fucking nasty. The Sunday World did a great 3-part podcast in this, where they're kind of half acting out this bit between Larry and the woman. Obviously, they must have gotten the words from the woman. We don't know her name again. But she said that the next time they stopped, he took her out of the car. He fucking raped her. Anally raped her, vaginally raped her, orally raped her. Then he started to kind of get a bit more romantic about it and starting to talk to her and trying to fucking pal up with her and kind of trying to be friendly with her. But this poor woman was... obviously. She was trying to play along, but she was terrified. She was just like, leave me free, let me go home. Then the woman said that she started to panic because she realized he was starting to give information that meant he wasn't going to let her go, because there was stuff like, my name is Larry, I have a wife and 2 kids. If they knew I was doing it, they would never have guessed I'd be doing this. I shouldn't be doing it. Like, he started to regret it after that time. And then they drove off. He packed her back into the boot and drove off again. And he took her to the Wicklow Mountains where he was planning to get rid of her. Essentially, he took her out. He raped her again a few times. In this case, he asked her to make love. So she kind of was going along. Well, not going along with it, but, she wasn't struggling as much. And apparently, it seemed like he was going to leave her go at one point. he was kind of talking as if he was going to leave her go. And it's almost like he changed his mind. And she said you could see it in his eyes. You could see the changes in his eyes the whole time. Like when he was going fucking from feral animal to realising what he was doing to back to fucking animal, like, you know.
Yeah.
Lucky for this woman, there was 2 hunters roaming in the woods at that night. They were out lamping foxes or something, or rabbits or something. I can't remember which. No, again, you listen to one of the documentaries, and this whoever, I can't remember, it was a woman, and she was giving it was like, this woman was so lucky that these poachers were out that night. I was like, well, they saved the woman. Will you not just let them be hunters? No, stop calling them poachers. Poachers
I
are illegal.
lived with one of their nephews. He said they were hunting. That's what they were doing. They were hunting at night.
The second documentary said hunters too.
Yeah.
Anyway, these guys, they came across the thing and spooked Larry. Larry got in his car and drove off. The woman went running. She got caught up in some like barbed wire and shit like that, and she was trying to hide because she didn't know who these 2 guys were. She didn't know with Larry, wasn't with Larry, whatever. She was terrified.
Yeah.
They eventually talk her into coming out, like, you know. She's like, is he gone? Is the man coming back? And he was like, no, he's not coming back. And they brought her straight down to the police station. When they got to the police station, they were able to tell the police who the man was because they recognized him. He was from their area. And one of them in particular had said they knew Larry because Larry was known for creeping girls out, and for, in one case, assaulting a girl in a bar and, you know, being thrown out and all that. But it is pretty well known that Larry at the time was a loner. People didn't want to be around him. That he'd go to the pub, he'd sit there on his own having his pint, and no one would talk to him, no one would go near him. He was just an oddball, like, you know.
Yeah.
But he still, I don't know how they do it. I mean, the Green River Killer had like 3 wives. Larry Murphy even was married. These guys, all these serial killers, see, they're sociopaths, they're mental, and they still managed to fucking have wife and kid. He had 2 kids and another on the way.
Who, Larry Murphy did? Jesus.
His wife was pregnant when he got caught. And he pretty much knew he was caught. He went straight to the pub, got a bottle of whiskey, and got drunk, and then went home. And the next morning the cops came to the house and they arrested him. He went in, he explained to his wife, he asked, could I go in and tell my wife what's going on? He went in, he sat down, he told his wife, I raped a woman last night, and that's why they're arresting me. So he admitted to it straight off the bat. Then apparently they got him down to the police station. He kind of half confessed, and then he went quiet. I wouldn't talk anymore and hasn't spoken since. No. Because of the way he committed this rape and murder, he is suspected of up to 8+ more murders.
Okay.
Realistically, I always kind of suspected him as well of this 8+ kind of murders. He is definitely Deirdre Jacob, because like I said, in 2018 he was questioned over in England. They went over to him and they questioned him in his house. And the 2 police officers said he got very agitated when the questioning went to Deirdre Jacob. And he asked him, could he go out and have a fag? Cigarette, for those of you not from Ireland and England. He went out the back garden, was smoking his cigarette, and one of the guards decided to follow him out. And they followed him out and was kind of trying to coax something out of him. And at that point, Larry turned to him and said, do you have a body? The guards didn't say anything else and just tried to get more information on him. Larry said, no. Do you have a body? They said no, and Larry said, well, then you can fuck off. And he kicked them out of the house. So he is being watched. They're pretty sure this is him. I think because, that was it. There was they really went in on this investigation, and new CCTV footage showed Deirdre Jacob going into the post office or a bank draft. And not long after, a man who strongly resembles Larry Murphy
very like,
walks in as well.
Isn't he? Yeah,
they blur his face, but even the shape of it, the haircut, everything was like, that's Larry.
Yeah.
And everyone that's seen it that knows Larry was like, that's Larry.
Yeah.
And when his own brother, Larry Murphy's brother, because apparently when Larry was getting released, he was getting an awful lot of shit about if your brother comes back, like from his hometown people. It's like, if Larry comes back to Baltinglass, like, we are going to burn your fucking house down if he's in it. And his brother had to step forward multiple times after that and say, I have told Larry to come nowhere near me, to never speak to me again, and I want no contact with him ever again. I have kids, I have family, I have daughters. Like, I do not want this cunt near me. He said he went to speak to Larry after he was caught once to see if he could get him to admit to it. And apparently Larry wasn't giving up anything to the brother either. He kind of, but it sounds like, hang on, I have an article on this here as well. It mysteries. Here it is. Oh yeah, I didn't get any answers. That's what he said. But I thought there was something more specific. Hold on 1 second. I asked him, had he anything to do with the missing women? I wasn't happy with the answers. I wasn't at all happy with them. I didn't get any answers. I never want to see him again. I can't begin to comprehend the suffering these families went through. I have a daughter myself. I can't imagine what it's like. So yeah, Larry Murphy's brother has disowned him. But where was I going with this? Before Larry Murphy's brother? Anyway, it doesn't matter. Larry was given a 10-year sentence. No, he was given a 15-year sentence for his murder, attempted murder, rape, and sexual assault and all that stuff. Because of our laws here, he instantly got something like, was it 25% off? Or something like that for good behaviour. No, I don't know what qualifies as good behaviour in this fucking country, but Larry Murphy refused all help. Showed no remorse. I think like the number one thing if you're getting out early from prison is the first thing is you have to admit to it.
Sorry for what you've done.
Yeah, you need to be like, I fucked up. I'm going to go get help. I'm going to sort them. I'm going to get my shit together. You're still a scumbag and a shit for what you did, but I mean, like, at least
you recognize that you did wrong and you want to try and change.
Yeah, whereas he had no interest.
He's no fucking interest. No.
And never showed any remorse. Never gave a shit. When the guards asked him about, well, like, you know, what he did to your one in the woods that he was caught for, Larry basically turned around and said, "She's alive. She's one of the lucky ones."
Is that what he said? Like, actually,
well, I think it was more along like, she's lucky. She's alive, isn't she? So it basically, again, a kind of vague kind of admission of.
Kind of just shows how fucked up, because she is alive, but like even that, her life is going to be fucked. Not fucked up, but mentally,
I was only thinking about it earlier on. I was like, can you imagine
her life,
if someone is sneaking up on you when you're just doing something as normal as leaving work and getting into your car? You can't even do that ever again normally. Do you know, she's never going to go from one place to another without looking over her shoulder constantly. I mean, that to me, if someone attempts murder, I think that is as good as murder. I think the penalty should be the same. You should go to jail for the same length of time as successfully murder. Yeah, I mean, you shouldn't get less time just because you're bad at it. Do you know?
No, that's true. No.
You still had the mentality and the ferocity in your body to go and do something like this. So, as far as I'm concerned,
when you couple the rape charge with the fucking attempted murder charge.
Yeah, you're a failed killer. That you should get extra time for being bad at your job. That's the way I think it is. Yeah, fuck him. Anyway, like I said, I always considered all this to be down to Larry, and then I found another little shit who we can talk about
Mr. Creer.
Pretty quickly, because we're at an hour already, and that is Mr. John Creer. Let me find the case here. Like I said, lots of tabs. It's not that one. It's not that one. Is it this one? It's not that one. Oh, yeah. We can talk about, I'll get back to that, about where Larry is now and that cool story.
Yeah.
But before we get to, and there's a link between him and Creer, but I don't see it. I don't know. I'm trying to find it. This guy, see, this is another reason why we don't know about Irish killers either. We do not have Wikipedia. There's not good fucking material out there. If you go to Murderpedia, Larry Murphy isn't on there because he technically hasn't killed anyone. John Creer isn't fucking on there. In fact, when you look up Wikipedia serial killer, Irish killers, big killers, there is a handful, and they are very small fucking pages. Even down to our big criminals like the General and
Gilligan. The General has a very surprising.
Their Wikipedia page was so small that I could cover them on Mini Monsters last week. Yep. And that was their whole. John Gilligan, I had to add to that Wikipedia page. I had to go over to Veronica Guerin's Wikipedia page just so that I could put in the information about Veronica Guerin. She was a footnote in Gilligan's fucking profile. A footnote. He is responsible for her murder, and he is a footnote. She's a footnote in his story.
She was standstill,
Do you know?
Yeah.
I mean, fucking hell. I mean, he's the reason CAB exists, the Criminal Assets Bureau, you know? Because they couldn't nail him for this. They went fucking the Al Capone manner of doing things. It's like, well, if we can't get you for murder, we'll get you for taxes.
This is what we're going to do instead, yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, John Creer. So, Phyllis Murphy was another one who was suspected to have been killed she was killed in the Triangle. And she was suspected for a while to be one of these women who was just, a part of the group.
Yeah.
I didn't mention her earlier on, did I? She's not in the...
No, I don't think you did.
She's not on the Wikipedia page for it, but she was, because I assume because they've convicted someone in this case, she isn't going to be on the Wikipedia page anymore, but I assume she
so
was
the person's been caught.
Oh, John Creer, yeah.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
So, basically what happened was this woman, they knew that she knew her attacker because she willingly got into a car, and that's not something she would have usually done. She was waiting for her bus.
Okay.
And this is the worst part of it. Her bus fare, so this wasn't a robbery situation here. Her bus fare was found in her mittens that she was wearing at the time, because this is Christmas time again. So I wonder, should they start looking at it? Is Creer responsible for the December killings?
I'm going to have a look there now.
Do you know? Because again, this was Christmas. He was actually a neighbour of hers, which I find strange straight off the bat, because generally these guys won't go that close to home. But he was a neighbour. And the reason they ended up suspecting him was when they were going door to door questioning, he got a bit shifty. And they marked it on the pad saying, come back and question this guy again. Do you know? Because he's acting a bit fucking strange. So when they went by there for years, it took them 20 years to nail him. Because obviously DNA evidence wasn't exactly tops when this woman died. It was, I believe, the late 70s, 79. On a date unknown between the 22nd of December and the 18th of January 1980, because they didn't fucking find her until then. Anyway, he managed to get away. He was an army sergeant, an ex-army sergeant at this stage. He was working in the Black & Decker factory or storage facility. He was a security guard.
Okay.
The reason he got away with it for so long was he had an alibi, and that was his co-worker vouched for him being at work. Then the DNA evidence came out 20 years later that linked him to it, and same co-worker stepped forward and said, okay, I lied. I was like, there's DNA evidence and he did it. I lied. He said, at the time, I did not believe that John Creer could do this. I was afraid that I would, that by telling people he was late for work that night, that he would get fired, and I didn't want to cause it because John was a good guy. He seemed all right to me. It didn't seem like he was doing this. And on top of that, the same guy said, on top of him being late, John washed out his car on site. Holes down the boot and everything.
Why would you do that in full view of your work colleagues?
But DNA evidence then officially linked him, and he was convicted, and he is still in prison to this day. Even though he was due, I think he's already due for release, but I think officially 2017 is when he's to get out. Now, latest article on John Creer is that motherfucker is dying.
Oh, really?
Evil killer John Creer waiting for God to take him as he struggles with lung disease. So yeah, he still thinks he's going to heaven. Things about to get hot for you, bud. Anyway, yeah, he's pretty much on death's door now with some fucking lung disease in prison, so they're not expecting him to get out. No, as I said earlier on, there's links as well. This is the first time I've ever heard of this, and I don't know how much credence is put into it or whatever. Back in 2000 and I believe 3, which very long time ago to be putting this together, because I don't even think John Creer convicted at that stage.
Yeah, John Creer was sentenced in 2002.
I suppose he's been in jail 20 years, what I'm saying. So, yeah, new evidence has linked 2 of Ireland's most notorious criminals to the disappearance of 3 women. The new book has linked John Creer and Larry Murphy, 2 suspected murder victims, Annie McCarrick, Jojo Dollard, and Deirdre Jacob. Well, John, you're out of this one because now it's all Larry they're expected on this one. Basically, witnesses had said that they saw John near a nearby disused quarry, and that he had keys to it, but they had seen him in and out around the same times as some of these disappearances, burning stuff and burying stuff inside in this quarry. And on one occasion he was seen on 2 occasions he was seen arguing with another man at the gate of this quarry who resembled Larry Murphy. That's all we got in this so far. Cops have never ever linked them. Cops have never really talked about it. I haven't heard a whole pile about it. This seems very kind of circumstantial kind of fucking shit. And again, if this is even the smallest bit true, I am pretty sure that quarry would have been fucking dug up at this stage.
Yeah.
Do you know? If you have two convicted fucking killers, the killings and disappearances stop after they get caught.
And you know that they've been seen in
And they're
around
apparently
here.
together in this one area, then you're going to have a look. No, the only way I think it links up is the case of that woman who I said, what was her name again? It was the first one. God damn.
What happened to her?
This is
Fiona?
Annette
Oh, yeah.
Smith. She's the one that went away with two guys with her, wasn't she? Yeah. That's the only kind of other case where you have two fellas involved who might. No, they're saying Larry would have only been 21 at this stage, but killers have started younger than that. And Dahmer started. They made a big deal like he was too young at that point, but especially since the body was found and it was a fuck up, then I would say definitely first thing.
Yeah.
Now they're saying, is it a case of the older killer training the younger killer? Was it a case of a relationship of, you know, they managed to find each other and John Creer was training Larry in some fucking way, or, but I don't know. I mean, I'll have to, do you know what I'm going to do? I am going to find this book and I'm going to read it, and we are going to do a part 2. We'll do a review on the book on this show, and I will say what I think about the claims that these pair did it together.
idea.
Because we have been going for over an hour now, and I still got a little bit more to go. Well, not much, but yeah, I'll read this book. I'll find this book if I can find it, because I've never heard of it, and I will read it. Bound to have it in the library, or they could have it. Maybe I could order it somewhere.
Yeah.
So okay, people will be asking. I've seen a lot online. People asking, "Where's Larry now?"
Yeah.
Larry Murphy, because John Creer, we know where that prick is. He's locked up in a prison on his way to meet the Grim Reaper. So as soon as he's dead, well, no, if we can get more information on him, let's get more information on the prick first.
Yeah.
Usually those cunts start to get a bit more fucking sentimental on their deathbed, so you might be able to squeeze them for something. No.
Maybe.
Do you know? If God ain't coming for you unless you tell us the truth, John. Come on. Anyway, so Larry spent his time kind of traveling Europe for a while. He spent time in Amsterdam around the same time we were in Amsterdam.
What?
London a lot. He's come home here once or twice, but again, this is why we know he's not active here anymore, because there's like Larry Murphy watch at this stage. Soon as he comes into the fucking country, it is all over social media. It is all over the newspapers. He cannot move in this country without people fucking spotting him.
You would think that, but he managed to move in behind my old secondary school before he was caught. He was there for a few fucking days before they realised that it was him.
What do you mean before he was caught? No one knew.
Not before he was caught, but before like everyone
Before
was like,
people noticed
Larry
him.
Murphy's fucking living across.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's easy to go around and hide your face, but what I'm saying is it never lasts for long.
No,
like,
it
you know.
doesn't. Yeah.
And
yeah,
especially that's when he was moving around the country. So there was no paper trail of him at that point, because you can't follow his passport.
Yeah.
But when he's in and out of the country, people know that, okay, Larry Murphy has walked through fucking the airport today. He has been spotted. Do you know? There's no way of getting away from that. So he has been back in the country once or twice. Once in particular after a prostitute robbed his wallet and a passport and left him with blue balls and
Good enough
bolted.
for him.
See, yeah, he can't really complain, because I remember I was talking to one of the lads who went to Amsterdam and went to one of the hookers, and apparently like he had his pants down by his ankles. You want to ask for the money? He said he didn't have it, or he pulled out like not enough. And apparently instantly there was this big ass security guard holding him by the scruff of his neck with his pants still down around his ankles, and just fired him out the fucking door. No. She just mouted a name at me, and it's not him. So I would imagine that, because obviously my first thought was, Jesus Christ, if this prostitute only knew who she was dealing with, then you wouldn't be robbing up. But it was like,
Security.
obviously there must have been a big ass pimp at the other side of that door, just like waiting for Larry to kick up. So Larry had to come back home with his tail between his legs to get a new passport, and again, instantly all over the papers. The papers love seeing Larry Murphy, because it's just it's an easy day's work for him, like, you know. Just, we saw Larry, front page news. Because I remember there was a time in this country where Larry Murphy was on the front page
Everything,
constantly,
constantly.
and he is an ugly motherfucker. He's got the face of a fucking evil prick.
Oh, he does.
You know?
Yeah.
You can see he's a nasty piece of shit. No, we were asking where is he right now? He is apparently in England, London, most likely doing work on building sites. He is going under a new name. Sometimes it was reported as Lawrence for the longest time, which is stupid because that's actually his real name.
His real name.
Yeah, I've seen news reports of him being called Lawrence Larry Murphy.
Can Larry be a shortened version of anything else?
No, it's Lawrence. But no, apparently that was misquoted because I found, well, what actually happened was I read about this first in the Sunday World. And then I was looking at stuff on Reddit about this case today. And I came across the woman who it actually happened to. And she said that she was misquoted. She said she probably gave him the wrong name because she said she was in a bit of a fucking frenzy at the time when it happened. But he was actually going by Morris, not Lawrence.
Morris. Okay.
So this woman and her husband moved to London after the kind of economic crash when we all went into... People call it recession. I reckon it was more depression. It hasn't left up. But anyway... She moved over to England with her husband and they had a big enough house that they decided to bring in a lodger to help with the rent. The lodger was a professional woman who did, I think she said, jewellery. I think it was not making new jewellery, but I think it was kind of, what's the word? Jewellery designer. Sorry, I thought she was someone that kind of
repurposed it,
fixed them, cleaned them up. Anyway, she was a jewellery designer, apparently a very good one, and she had a boyfriend. Who had begun by the name Lawrence? Is not her real name, is it? Okay, no, she is calling him Lawrence again. No, sorry, this is somebody who just put up the article from Sunday World. It was Morris. Anyway, okay. So this woman, anyway, she had a boyfriend named Morris, and she was always talking about him, but she never brought him over to the house. He was never over at the house when the owners were awake. He'd come late at night, stay over, and be gone really early in the morning.
Okay.
No, these people were having a barbecue one day, and they convinced the lady to bring her boyfriend Morris with her. Morris came to the door, they invited him in, but the woman of the house said something was itching. They were Irish, something was itching them. She knew his face, she couldn't tell where from, and then it hit her. So she ran into her own office, typed Larry Murphy into her computer, and the face that came up was the face of the man that was standing in her back garden currently.
I'd be moving house, I wouldn't want him to know where I lived.
So she called in her husband, showed it to him. Then they both called in their lodger and showed it to her. Now they say that she looked crushed when she found out. And like her whole world was collapsed because she had been with this guy for a while.
Okay.
And then the woman at the house decided it was up to her to go out and tell Larry to fuck off, which she pretty much did. She went to him, she said, I know who you fucking are, get the fuck out of my house. He protested a little bit, but once she started to kick up, I know you got the wrong guy. But as soon as she kicked up, she said he ran out of that fucking house. I
was like, how would you protest being kicked out of somebody else's house?
You're like, no, you got the wrong guy, kind of fucking. She was like, I know who I fucking got. Out. Then she found out that he had a key to the house and had been coming regularly to sleep over with the girlfriend.
I fucking lose my mind at her.
While she was sleeping in the fucking house.
Fuck that.
The guy, when she brought it up to police in England, the police in England asked her to keep it quiet because they didn't want to spook him. They were keeping an eye on him. They wanted to know where he was at all times. And if she made a big deal out of it, that he'd get spooked and he'd run and they'd lose sight of him.
Okay.
The woman then asked, did you know he was staying here? They said no. She said, go fuck yourself.
Of course they knew.
And went away and rang the Irish newspapers to tell them what was up. No, she says that as far as she knows, the woman, the lodger stayed with Larry for another while afterwards. Even after finding out what he did.
Okay.
And it is believed at this point, he's now in his 50s, and it's believed that he is in London still working on building sites. Under a false name.
Yuck.
So, no, again, if you see Larry's face once, you're always going to know Larry's face.
You're never going to, he's a very distinctive
You
face.
would spot him a mile away,
Yeah.
I remember knowing I knew he was in Amsterdam when we were there as well. As far as I had a fair idea, and that's why I got a bit creeped out the night those guys were behind us and they started calling us across the bar.
I didn't like that.
I didn't even look over to see who they were. I was just like, let's go.
No, two young lads, but
So, yeah. But fucking... Yeah, and apparently Larry is known as well. But before he moved to London, when he was in Amsterdam, he had been spotted. Journalists had spotted him hanging out with other sex offenders and rapists from the Irish prison system. Who he was living with one of them. He was roommates with one of them. Jesus. So they had palled up around in jail and stayed friends after. I suppose who else are sex offenders going to hang out with? They have to hang out with other sex offenders because the rest of us be like, get the fuck away from me. Mm-hmm. Yuck. Bye. Yep. So that is the gist of it. This is the first kind of unsolved case we've covered. Everything else is usually nicely wrapped up in a bow by the end of it. Yeah. But this is more about what I want though for Real Monsters. I want it to be a bit more free, like just a bit more kind of jumping between tabs and talk a bit. Like I said, especially when it comes to the bigger name guys like Dahmer, Bundy, BTK, stuff like that. I said we're going to revisit BTK. We're going to revisit Dahmer eventually. We're going to revisit some of the ones we've done and have more of a discussion about them rather than a rundown. Because you know their story already. It was different today. I had to tell the story, but it was a nice story to have. It was mixed up. It was all over the place. So we jumped from here to there to everywhere. Yeah. And we still haven't gotten shit figured out.
I think it was fun.
No, we have 2 suspects instead of 1 and
3.
Fucking more than 3 though. I mean, there's the 4 fucking bodies with suspects attached to them.
I was going to say the Spanish serial killer.
Yeah, I need to look into more of that as well. I need to look into these girls' podcasts. So they're Americans, so I don't know. Maybe they were picking up stuff from the wrong. I don't know, unless they were reading this fucking Blood Brother. That's the name of the book as well about Murphy and Creer, Blood Brothers.
Yeah. That's tricky.
We'll see if we can make the movie adaptation.
Oh, you can't. There is a Blood Brothers.
Who to get? Larry Murphy. I reckon Barry Keoghan could do it.
Oh my God, is it bad that his name came into my head as well?
Oh, he could do it. Barry Keoghan is Larry Murphy. Who are we getting to play John Creer? You haven't seen him. Hang on.
No, you can't get Barry Keoghan to play Larry Murphy because he was in Saltburn and he wasn't he wasn't the most morally correct of people, and the girls. I mean, everybody's fucking mad about him. You don't want to make people mad about Larry Murphy.
No, but I think this could be like a Charlize Theron moment with Monster, and you can make him look nasty enough that people won't want to write him. For fuck's sake. Wouldn't mind.
And Colin Farrell's the cop that's catching him.
I wouldn't mind if you people lived in Ireland when we all first saw Barry Keoghan on TV. It was like, he is one ugly motherfucker. When he was in Love Hate, he was supposed to be a scummy little prick.
Yeah, but it's that shooting scene that made him kind of...
Well, I hated him before that. I like him now.
I don't like calling people ugly.
He had a face I wanted to punch.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Well, that's what I mean by it.
Okay.
I mean, he's done pretty well for himself. I don't think he's going to be too pushed about what we have to say about him over here when he's over there fucking flapping his cock around on movies and every stage that they give him these days and switching from one girlfriend to the next. I mean, he met one girl in a bar in Killarney, which is a half an hour away from where we live. Yeah. He hooked up with her for a couple of years, then jumped from her to some pharmacist he met up the country, then had a child with her, and no sooner was that child born that he left her for some famous girl he's with. No, I don't know her either. I think she's some
really
singer or something like that.
You're up in his love life, Josh.
Well, I came up lately because I was wondering, because I'd heard he had a child last Christmas, and then the next thing I was like, Barry Keoghan's new girlfriend. I was like, where the fuck did he have to find time to dump the last one and find the new one? I was like, what the fuck,
I'd be nearly fucking everything lately.
Huh? And constantly be acting like so. Yeah.
Either way, I don't like calling people ugly.
Well, he's a fucking Hollywood fucking superstar. Fucking all the girls chasing him. He's up there with Brad Pitt and the rest of them, isn't he?
Oh, I understand that, but I mean, in general,
money does a lot of good things for people. Anyway, who would we put? I can't find a picture of John Creer anymore, so I don't know who we can get to.
I can't. I've been looking for. I've only found the politicians so far.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Unless he's running Creer. Here, I think I have him. Who would you put? Who would you have?
Peter Capaldi. Going from here up, all I can see is up here up so far.
Oh, because he's blocking his lower more.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
Peter Capaldi.
Yeah, definitely.
100%.
So Blood Brothers starring Peter Capaldi and Barry Keoghan, or whatever the fuck he says.
I was just about to say, if you're going to do the voiceover, you might as well pronounce his name properly.
He's completely brainwashed by Hollywood. He's even started pronouncing his own name wrong. It's Keoghan. We're Irish. We know this.
You see, I was thinking that as well, but then I came across Geoghan, and that's a hard GH
What?
as well. Geoghan. It's spelled Geoghan, I think.
I
But
don't
yeah, that's Geoghan. It's a.
I don't know. I'm going to read Blood Brothers and we will get back to you. That could be a couple of months away, but we will get back to you with an update. And anytime there's an
And a
update.
cast list.
But you know what? I will. I've always been keeping a close eye on this case because I do like these unsolved cases where we're getting closer and we feel like we're getting closer. So it was the same with the Golden State Killer. I mean, like, I kind of found him just about maybe 2 years before he got caught. I started to read about his story, and I was like, it was amazing to be in the middle of that bubble, and then it was like, you know, getting this alert on your phone. It's like, he's been caught, and it's like, no, fuck. I was in the middle of listening to the book about him, the one that Michelle McNamara did, Oswald Patton's wife that died.
Yeah.
She's basically the reason he got. She helped push the kind of the reinvestigating of the case.
Okay.
When Paul Holes caught him, the cop, but yeah, just being there, kind of being halfway through her book, and the next thing, like, seeing an alert on your phone, I was like, he's been caught. And it's like, what? Fuck me, he's been caught. So I'm kind of looking forward to that day as well, where they're like,
Cool.
we have Larry Murphy in
Yeah.
custody. He's going to do fucking hard time for the rest of his fucking miserable life. Go be non-remorseful in prison, you little prick. Instead of fucking
Do
riding
you think
around London.
they'd put him into protective custody? Do you think they'd have to?
I
I can't see them putting him into protective custody if it's just murder charges, if they can't link rape charges.
Oh, well, they're all going to be sexual assault fucking cases as well.
But can they prove sexual assault this long after the fact is what I'm saying. I'd say that they won't press for rape, that they go with murder charges because it's too hard to prove rape.
Depends on if they get a body or not.
But what I'm saying is if they do get bodies, they'd be too degraded to actually say
Do you think?
after 30 fucking years.
Well, have they not been able to tell sometimes by just the trauma on the body or the bone? Or
Unless he damaged the bone. Do you know, there's no soft tissue there to say that this girl was raped.
That's true. Unless Larry
I would.
does a Grinch and his heart grows a couple of sizes someday, and he's like, do you know what? I'm going to admit to everything.
Yeah. No, but like genuinely, I would rather him not
Happy
be.
Christmas! I'm a rapist, everybody.
I would rather him not be pinned for the rapes and not be put into protective custody. Do you know what I mean?
Well, you see, if they believe there's a threat to your life, they're going to put you in protective custody anyway. Because of his high status, name status, he will probably be put into protective custody, or he'd have the option to go there, like, you know, because he would be a target. You know, especially when you have to remember as well, we, again, are a very small country, which means if you have 13, or if you're, right, we'll just say he is done for fucking Deirdre Jacob.
Yeah.
But Jojo Dollard, he hasn't been done for, or one of these other fucking 10 to 12 to 13 to fucking how many women he's linked to, or have been linked to the Vanishing Triangle. Maybe one of their cousins is in fucking prison. Maybe one of their neighbours fucking, or their cousin's neighbours are fucking in prison. Mm-hmm. Suddenly, it's like, hey, you're doing time anyway for the rest of your life. Why don't you kill Larry Murphy for me while you're in there?
Okay, no
Get
problem.
revenge for me. Yeah. Because he's not going to be fucking convicted. We're never going to get our justice because he's not going to be convicted because we can't find the bodies. And if he's not going to tell us where the bodies are, get him. Or torture him. Larry and T will tell you where the body of my fucking thing is. And you know, that's the problem. Like, we're a small country. Everybody is literally... You could go to the other end of the country and find a cousin of yours.
That's it. You cannot go anywhere in this country without knowing somebody or be related to someone or without seeing your fucking neighbour there. Like,
so in his case, it will be a case of we need to keep him away from the general population because somebody is going to have some sort of link to one of these girls. And if he's done for one, then he would be like, that's the reason why he had to be kept away from him originally, because his case was so similar to the others that there was a possibility that he could run into somebody that knew one of the other victims and, you know, they'd want revenge. Yeah. And then there is a case of, because his original crime was rape, and because it would be so similar again, that they would assume that other prisoners aren't going to know, other gangsters aren't going to know, but they're going to assume your MO is going to be the same. And a lot of the mobster gangster kind of guys, to prove that they're just ordinary decent criminals and that they don't believe it, because they'll always deny fucking like the monk will always deny being involved with drugs.
I know.
The general always said he wasn't involved with drugs. There's proof that both of them have small dealings in hash, which again I don't consider a drug, so maybe they weren't involved with drugs, but they stay away from the bigger ones. But again, they like to have these moral high grounds to get
They stay away from the ones that ruin lives, basically.
I might have killed another gangster, but I didn't rape and murder a woman. So, but Larry did. So, do you know what? To level it out, we'll go kill Larry for you. Do you know, and that's the gangster or mobster logic. It's like, because I remember when I was in the bike club scene, and I was learning. I was trying to learn about how because when you're starting off in a bike club, you kind of start your own club, and you're considered an MCC, a motorcycle club, and then there's MCs, which are also motorcycle club. Yeah. But the motorcycle is one word in their one, and they're considered 1%ers. They're the 1% outlaw clubs who don't give a shit about mainstream. And outlaw doesn't mean they're criminals; it just means they don't abide by the government law. They have their own set of laws.
Yeah.
You have your own set of rules, and sometimes it's just, like in my case, I would consider myself as well as I just have a good moral compass, so it's okay for me to follow my own rules, because my own rules line up with most of your fucking laws.
Yeah.
Bar one in particular. But the Hells Angels used to have tricks and stuff like that. They did a lot of charity work.
Yeah.
So that when people came complaining that this Hells Angel did that, I was like, that guy, nah, he does a load of charity work. He was only helping sick kids last week. He was reading to the elderly. He was fucking, so it's it couldn't be them. They do too much good for the community, and stuff like that. And that's little tricks that are used to try and fucking put people off what's actually going on in the background. So that's just the way gangsters work. They'll find ways to kind of make you and again the monk was heavily involved in a boxing club to try and keep the youths off the street. He was a part of the group of concerned citizens that used to walk on gangsters' houses or drug dealers' houses and tell them basically, you stop dealing drugs here or we're going to come down and burn this house out and get you out of the community. And he used to help out with that. The general Martin Cahill was on the complete opposite side of that, fighting back against them. Because he used to have the group for concerned criminals, ordinary decent criminals or something. Because that was the general's phrase. He was an ordinary decent criminal. And in his case, to a degree, he didn't go around fucking murdering people. He went around hurting people. He went around robbing people. But he didn't deal drugs. He wasn't a big drug dealer, even though they believe he had some money in some elements of drug dealing. He wasn't directly involved with the infrastructure of it. He was just invested in a little bit of it. But they call themselves the ordinary decent criminals. But that would be their mentality of if we help the public, then the public, and it's something you see with gang and mafia members for years and years and years. John Gotti, when John Gotti was fucking arrested, the richer people in the fucking New York were like, hey, we caught Gotti. The people from his neighborhood were like, what the fuck are you doing? He's the only one keeping our neighborhood safe.
Yeah, true.
Without him, we have nothing. It was the same with the two boys from Legend, fucking the Cray twins. The two Cray twins were loved by their direct community because they kept back in a time when the cops weren't going to help you and they weren't the greatest help. They were gangsters that although they were committing crimes, it wasn't in their own locality and they weren't, and they were helping their general community and giving money back to the general community and keeping the general community safe. So if you were, in this case of all these missing women, if a woman went missing on one of their fucking spots, they'd find out where she went missing to and they'd bring her fucking home. And the guy who went and made him go missing would in turn go missing. So that's kind of the way it works. So I would assume with Larry going to prison, it'll be a case of we need to keep Larry away from everybody before somebody decides to become a vigilante or get revenge and take him out. So no, either right away is good with the rest of us. No one's going to cry the day Larry Murphy dies. No one's going to be sad to see Larry Murphy die. No one's going to be sad the day John Creer dies. Maybe his wife and 5 kids might. Rest of us won't give a rat's ass. So until that day happens, I'm pretty sure even when Larry Murphy dies, it'll be a day similar to St. Patrick's Day. Everyone will drink and celebrate and be happy. Be even happier if he leaves a fucking note telling us where everybody else is. But until then, we just gotta hang tough and Hope the prick
Wait it
slips up.
out.
Or, again, new technology, new forensics, everything, you know. That's always getting better. I mean, that's how Crerar got caught. Just because they couldn't catch him in his time, they caught him afterwards with what he left behind. And maybe something will show up. Maybe Larry left something somewhere that'll link him back up to it. Maybe if there's other killers involved, stuff will start to shake loose because they seem to be putting an extra bit of effort into trying to figure this out now.
Yeah.
And again, they're saying the difference there is the old guard are gone. The ones who, because apparently they used to use these women, like you said, Jojo Dollard was a cautionary tale to you.
Yep.
It was a don't go out hitching because Jojo Dollard went missing, you know, and make sure you're home early and make sure you have a fucking man standing next to you everywhere you go so you're safe and all this kind of shit. And but the new Garda police, although I wouldn't be exactly fans of them, they are younger there and their view is going to be different from the older guys. And it's not, well, what was she wearing when she was caught? When she got taken?
Yeah.
Because it could be her fault.
Yeah.
Like, you know, well, it doesn't matter what the fuck she was doing. She could have been doing a striptease in the side of the road. If she's gone missing, we got to find her, you know. So they're kind of taking a renewed kind of interest in it, and hopefully they will come up with something.
Yes.
We'll update you. That's what the weekend updates for. Updates. Until next week, though, we're done. It's enough about Larry. Enjoy St. Patrick's Day and get drunk like the rest of us. Because if you didn't guess, this is our St. Patrick's Day special. We went with an Irish one. Because it has nothing to fucking do with zombies. Usually we try and link it up, but it ain't linking this week. It ain't going to link for a while. I can't link zombies up thing. There is no real zombies. Despite how good I put an argument for it. I put up a good argument for it. Found all the right chemicals. Maybe I can make this happen.
Maybe.
Maybe I can fucking step in the shoes of Herbert West and reanimate.
Maybe.
Maybe I should just leave because I've seen too many zombie stuff and I know how it ends. Brains. See you next week.
Bye-bye.